Welcome back to the Evolution of the Soul series. This is Cheryl Arts from Willow Roots, and today I want to talk to you about ancestral trauma and ancestral healing. And for those of you who are watching the video, you notice I'm in a different location once again, as my healing space is just having some minor renovations, new floor put in. So I was trying to capture the energy. It's really beautiful here in southwestern Ontario today, at the beginning of June, and wanted to capture the outside and trying to find a spot in the house that didn't have too much glare. So we've got the view of the trees behind me and the energy of the wind. So I just wanted to bring that in as we talk about the ancestors and we talk about healing. And the reason I bring this up is I see this quite often in healing sessions where people are looking for answers to their dis-ease, their trauma, the energy they carry forward, some of the emotions they carry, or just like the heaviness and energy. And we're looking for the source of those things in their body. And oftentimes it can be ancestral trauma that gets brought forward. And so if that's not resolved from whoever experienced it, it gets brought forward. And if we think about let's just even think about the last 100 years and the trauma that's been inflicted on the collective. So let's talk about the collective trauma in the wars that we've been through. So World War I, World War II, the Depression, and then the Cold War. There was a lot of fear induced in that. And, we talk about like events like 9/11 that happened, and those of us who've lived through that, and just even recently in the last 5 years, the COVID pandemic that created so much fear. There was so much fear perpetuated and sent on us. And so there's all of this energy and trauma collectively that not only ourselves experience, but our ancestors experience. So we just think about that the last 100 years, but if you even go back more time in, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, I think about where our ancestors came from. And so part of my lineage comes from Scotland. And for those of you who love and appreciate the Outlander series, the books and the series on TV, come to know the trauma inflicted on the Scottish people, and that, a lot of their heritage was ripped from them, and wars that happened, and they had devastating loss. And then the immigration to North America. And so a lot has happened, if we go back and back and back. And so it's kind of good to understand your lineage and just understand what's there, but to offer healing to it. And so right now we're at a time to bring an end to ancestral trauma, and that means we're going to heal it. We're at a time where we say no more trauma, let's heal, go forward. And so when we do healing, it's really powerful to go backwards and heal the present, but then also heal the future generations because we pass it on. And so if I give the example of myself, just myself, and the energy that I have and whatever I've been through. So a woman in particular is born with all of her eggs that she will ever have in her lifetime. And so if anything happened to my mother while I was in her womb, that energy is transferred. Then also anything that happens to me, that energy is innately transferred into the eggs that I have. So it gets passed on to my children. And so I need to heal myself. I take a responsibility to heal myself so that it doesn't go on to the future. And if your children are already born, or you have grandchildren, we can still do this healing work. It is super powerful to do this. And in alchemical healing, we access the realm of Akasha, where most people have heard of the Akashic records, where all of our ancestral energy, all of the lifetimes we've ever had or will have, all of that energy is stored in a repository. And so we can access that and heal not only the present moment, heal our past, ancestral past, but also heal forward. So we're really healing that ancestral timeline. And I think this is really important. We're called here today. So those who are watching this video or are called to this video, you're likely already doing this work, or you're doing it innately or unconsciously. But if you put some consciousness to it, it's way more powerful, and to invite in that healing. And I'll just share, kind of a few stories of myself too. I mean, I think about disease that has been passed on through my family. On one side, there's a kidney condition that is passed on, from generation to generation. And when I understood about this ancestral healing, I wanted to really heal it from its root, heal it from its core so that no longer it stops here and it no longer impacts my life or my parents or my grandparents or my aunts and uncles and all those people, and also going forward. And so at this moment, people are generally very healthy within my family. It actually affects quite a high percentage. It typically skips the firstborn, but so the what I have witnessed, and I'm almost 50, I'm a very healthy person. And so I feel like that healing is happening. Have I eradicated? I don't know. I haven't done the testing, but that's my goal, is to eradicate it. Another one that affects a lot of people is alcoholism. And so, alcoholism at its core is really a crutch that helps us, deal with certain situations. It helps to numb what is happening in our lives. It helps us in stress. And there's a kind of habitual energy with it that helps us process different things. And, for my family, I've really wanted to heal that. Alcohol has been a big part of my life since I was about 14 years old. And at times, I would say that it really dominated who I was and the things that I did. And I'm grateful I've now been alcohol free for over a couple months now, maybe even almost 3 months. And I've worked really hard to heal those wounds, those trauma within the surface that has created that necessity for alcohol. And I'm happy to report my children don't drink. My children are young adults, they're teenagers, and they don't find alcohol attractive. They kind of shun it actually. And so really powerful in the healing that is this happening from the roots. And so you may have something of that nature that kind of gets passed on. And so I want to tap into the predisposition or the testing that happens. And so many people feel drawn to have testing done to see if they're predisposed to, say, cancer, breast cancer, or diabetes or heart disease. I mean, even go as far as testing the baby in the womb to see if they will have, certain markers or different things. And what I will say to you is this: if something comes back and it's positive and say it says that, yep, you have a proclivity to this particular disease. So I want to tell you a couple things. One is the body is miraculous and it can heal, first and foremost, even regardless of what you're told. It is a healing machine. You think about a cut that you get on your hand, it instantly wants to heal that. So that's number one. And number two is that if you believe it, you believe what you're told, you can manifest it. And so knowing this and having it kind of resonate or sit within your mind, that you can actually bring it forward to you. The third piece is, I would say, is that it could be this energy within your DNA. If you're showing like a testing of positive that you for this, particular disease or something like that. And I would say that is still, there's still trauma or energy that has been passed forward that needs to be healed. And so this will be a whole other video, but when we look at certain diseases, say cancer, it's been shown, and Dolores Cannon did a lot of work through this, and her daughter Julia wrote a book on it. And there's a lot of books, Louise Hay wrote a book on this. And what is the energy or the emotions behind the disease that shows up? And so it showed a lot that cancer was anger. So if we go back and heal the anger, not only for ourselves, but also for our family. And you're going to be saying, like, Cheryl, like, I don't have the energy to do that. Well, we can do that in a healing session. We can do that in an all-chemical healing session. We can do that in QHHT sessions. There's many different ways to heal it. There's many amazing people with many different modalities that can help you in this space. But we need to release the energy underneath it. And so different things like diabetes is missing the sweetness of life. So maybe you're lacking happiness or love within your life. And so that causes the diabetes. so then we crave this sugar energy. you know, People with heart diseases and different things like that. Well, we healing within the heart. Maybe it's self-love or lack of love, or we didn't get love from our parents. And so, we really need to heal what's underneath it. So that's what I would say. If you did the genetic testing, or if you have, a certain energy of disease that's happening in your family, go back and ask, like, what is the root of that? What is the root of that? And it's what I really love about alchemical healing is that we ask that question, and through the element of akasha, we can get information from that. And so we really need to ask, what is at the root? What is at the root? And if you're dealing with something right now, I've talked about this in other videos, but the asking the why, or what is the root of this, or what lesson do I need to learn, or what healing do I need, right? And so ancestral trauma, is really, really powerful. And we need to heal that. We need to heal that. It's time. It's time to heal that. It's time to stop it. It's time to, it stops here. And, I talk a lot with my clients about that, and you may not know what that is, and that's okay. We're not meant to go back and relive these experiences, or typically know. You might get a hint of what you're dealing with, but let's invite it to clear. Let's invite this to release, no more passing it down. And so here's kind of the last message of this video and this audio, is that we need to look after ourselves. We need to heal ourselves. I have a lot of people who come in, a lot of mothers come in, and they're worried about what's happening with their children. They seem to be going down the wrong path, or these things keep happening to them. And I tell them with 100%, energy, heal yourself. Heal yourself, because it stops everything from moving forward energetically. And your children get to witness you heal. The power of witnessing someone heal themselves is incredible. It can motivate other people. That energy can ripple out to your family members. And so look after yourself, heal yourself, so that you don't become the ancestor that passes on their trauma. Right? And you don't even need to know. There's people that, block certain things out. And I certainly am not an advocate for rehashing anything. I think about the Truth and Reconciliation program that's happened within the country of Canada. And when people had to report their incidences of what happened to them in residential schools and day schools, it really brought up all of this trauma again that had been hidden for years, and the support wasn't there for them. And so we don't need to necessarily bring up everything again, but we can invite in the healing that's needed, and we don't need to talk about it. We don't even need to know, unless it's necessary for you to know that you're healing it. But we can invite in that healing without rehashing it, because rehashing it can bring up everything again. And that's okay if the right support is there. So, there's some amazing counselors in the world that advocate for this type of thing, but we have to have the support network around someone that can help them if it brings up those old memories and those old pieces. And so we just, inviting for that healing. Healing is so important for who we are, who we came here to be. Right? We're not meant to suffer here. We really aren't. We're meant to learn lessons. And so when we have these hardships, when we have these things happen to us, we're meant to take a look at them. We're meant to invite in the healing, and we're meant to learn from them and move forward. And so I really hope this message, this video, this audio was helpful for you today. And, if you're looking for some ancestral trauma, you can find my work at willowroots.net. But like I said, there's amazing practitioners out there, amazing modalities out there that deal with similar things. And, always trust what resonates with you to help you on your journey. All right. Take care. Much love.